Christoph.
Christoph.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so since we're so few people, I would leave out the breakout rooms, and then I'll be finishing a bit earlier. We can do more exercises together. Okay. Okay. So I hope you see this all.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, oops. So this is actually a lotus flower, and I choose it so because it grows in muddy waters. And for me, it's one of the symbols that out of very difficult, dark times, something beautiful as this flower can flourish. And so this is Co-Create Humanity. And I had understood it was basically mostly for people who train people to deploy or to be on assignment in humanitarian issues. So I just wanted to hear, what would be your biggest worry if you go abroad, or if you think about your humanitarian times? So if you like, you can write this down, or you can talk, you can tell me, whatever.
Well, for me, if I can start shortly, is like not to have a community, like a sense of community. It doesn't matter if it's a group of local people, colleagues, or international community of people who are already there, but like to be lonely, in short.
Okay. And you, Maya? You want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just on the way to the train, but I'm here. For me, it is it's a little bit the same. If you live hard situations, how do you deal with it? You have to have somebody to talk about it, or to, yes, I think that's an important thing. How do you deal with a difficult situation you face, and you have to digest them? Yeah.
And the two of Co-Humanity, you want to participate as well?
Sure. Look,
Okay.
I did field assignments many years ago. I did have a traumatic experience, and I suppose if I was to go on an assignment and deployment again, I probably would be mostly worried about how to deal with things that are triggered, you know, from my previous assignment, my previous traumatic experience.
Or maybe you can also say what is triggering you most in your present time as well. It suits well. I just see that I wrote it wrong here, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I just let in another person. As myself, I will say from my experience, one of the worries I had when I was on the field was mainly to face the workload that was from time to time really stressful, and managing the priorities also regarding that, regarding deadlines, regarding responsibilities, and people also involved in the tasks I was managing. That
Thank
can
you
be
very
an
much.
example.
I see there's somebody, you, I don't know if I pronounce this well, Shankar, joining us. Can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
We just started. Maybe you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Zui Shankar. I'm in the mental health field. I'm based in India. I used to be in the humanitarian field, but right now I'm practicing much more within India. I was really curious about this because I feel like this is one of the areas that we all struggle in the most. So I was really curious to hear from you, and that's why I joined this group.
Okay, so we just started by like establishing connection amongst us.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sorry about the typo here, but it was and when you think about sending people abroad or your own deployment, what would be your biggest worries?
For me, the biggest worries would be loss of connection. So when people get deployed, one of the biggest pieces, even though in this day and age, one feels connected, but then may lose that face-to-face connection and support. And I feel like many people struggle with that the most.
Okay, exactly. So today we can get some information on how we react to stress, train our body to be able to feel more comfortable with big emotions like being alone, or become aware and activate our own resources. I choose this picture for the word resilience. Does anybody know where this building stands? Taipei, Taiwan. Okay, it's 400 meters and something, and it used to be for a long time the biggest building in Taiwan, in the world. And what do we know about Taiwan? It has a lot of earthquakes. So how is it possible to build a building like that on a shaky ground? And for me, this is the image of resilience. We can prepare for it. We can be swaying with the problems. We don't have to resist so much. So this is an image to start the presentation. And then I would want to give you just some information of what happens to us if we're scared, if I think I'm going to be alone, or I be facing even maybe kidnapping or whatever with big emotions, or I don't know what to do anymore in this current situation. So if I feel insecure, if I'm afraid, if I get anxious about a dangerous situation, the big news is I'm having a normal and appropriate physical reaction to an unusual situation. Like I'm not going mad, but the situation is mad or different, right? And I'm just having a normal reaction because it makes me feel strong so I can run or I can fight. So if I'm sure you heard about this before, but I just wanted to repeat it in such a way that you might be getting a bit more relaxed about being anxious about things. And then from somatic experiencing, which is what the method I learned, is to know that we have actually a wiring system, which is connected with the vagus nerve. It's a nerve that goes from the head all the way, basically almost to the knee. And then when we are scared, we are in the sympathetic wiring system, which makes like we are in a cold shower. Everything is like this. The heart beats fast. The lungs are breathing very sharply. No digestion. All the blood goes to the muscles so we can run. We can run and we can fight. And then when we do something to get relaxed, we can feel like in a warm bath. Everything is relaxed, the breathing slows down, the heartbeat slows down, the eyes are no more tunnel vision. That's how we are wired, all of us. And then just a quick view on what it is in the brain. When we are being the sympathetic, in the scary place, we usually only work with our survival brain, or some people call it the reptilian brain, because this is what we share with all the reptilians. And it's a bit like DOS in the computer. It's where we breathe, we digest, all the things that go on in the autonomous nervous system. There we have something called the amygdala. And this is going like safe, not safe. It's something called amygdala. And sorry, it's in the sorry, I can that's in the limbic system, the amygdala. This is where all our emotions are staying. So when we actually, the yellow part is the prefrontal cortex, is where the human beings are thinking. We share the yellow with all the reptilian, the red with most mammals, and mostly the human beings have a big brain. But what happens when we're scared, when we are in survival mode? We stop thinking, we stop listening, because when we think I'm going to fall down, I have to stretch out immediately my hand. I cannot go, shall I do the hand out or shall I don't? Right. So this is our primal reaction to fear. So we have to do something to calm down or to regulate so we can think again. Otherwise, we just run around and run away. What happens when we are in a lot of stress, when we have a stress that's going on for a long time, or we're in situations like we feel alone, we're scary, we become extremely vigilant. We have difficulties falling asleep or sleeping through the night. We have greater irritability, outbursts of anger. We have mood swings. We change eating behaviors, like some people eat a lot, others eat less. We have increased use of alcohol, drugs, and painkillers. Some people call it sex and drugs and rock and roll, which a lot of aid workers are very well known for that. We have body aches, lack of energy, lack of concentration, sometimes confused language, or we don't stop talking. Now, I would do a breakout room, but because we are so little ones, I just would love to ask you, has anybody suffered from these symptoms? Have you been aware of them? Anybody wants to comment? It's difficult to comment on a place like this, huh?
Yes, I have stories in parallel, so to say. One that I don't recall very well, and the other that was recent. The first is when I was 8, and when we had the bombing in Serbia for 72 days. Back then I didn't quite understand, of course, what was happening, especially because I was in an environment that was very caring of us, of children in general. So our adults back then, they were very careful about sharing information in front of us. But since it was a community of a lot of children, we did talk. But yes, I think that my trauma with this whole war situation starts back then. That's like obvious, but I used it for my future career. It was not maybe something that I did at one like consciously, but after working some time with experts, after talking about it, we came to certain conclusions that that's something that I did to channel it, like to join the community who fights against what I survived as a child. And it is now that as an adult, I know that it's not fair to compare wars, but I, from my perspective, say that there's worse that I survived. There were worse. Yes, obviously now, since I work for the ICRC, I can witness worse situations. But how we react, it's ours. And to what we react, it's also ours. So we cannot compare maybe traumas, but yes, that is how one thing that I, as a kid, started to understand now more. I didn't work on childhood trauma until my 20s. So, especially because we are raised in like in countries that are war prone and that are usually in war, unfortunately. So for our mentality, it's normal, but new generations are coming, and luckily my generations and newer, they are aware of this mentality problem that has to be talked about, channeled somehow, and turned into opportunities and something productive at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So that is one. Maybe, yeah, and somebody else can talk
Okay,
about.
thanks very much for sharing.
Yeah.
It's not so easy to talk
Yeah.
about these difficult things. Yeah. I was thinking more about like work related, but it's interesting. Thanks for opening up. So the symptoms, has anybody had similar symptoms? Not able to sleep? Maybe we can talk on that. Or not eating well, not caring for yourself anymore.
Yeah, maybe I can share just quickly. In my experience, when I was on the field, I experienced some of these symptoms, but at the moment I was not really aware of what was really happening, because I did not have this awareness that I have today after being trained as a coach and after deciding to support people on dealing better with that. But it would have been a great help for me to understand better why I was reacting like that and what was going on with me, and that I was not the problem, in so to say, but it was more the reaction to what was happening to me and to the situation, to the context, or maybe also to others' reactions, because sometimes we can be triggered by other people in our environment. So that will be something I would like to share. And it's also some symptoms that I can today experience in my life today, even if I'm not in the same environment and if I'm not working as the same at the same kind of positions. But yeah, some of the symptoms once in a while I have, for example, problems sleeping. For example, if I have a big contract that I have to sign on, for example, it can be a little triggering. But I have more tools now to deal with that. So that will be the change back when I was on the field.
Thank you very much. And maybe somebody else, when have you noticed that these symptoms getting worse? Like in my case, I know when I have a lot of people demanding things from me. And it was worse when I had a child on top of the work and everything. So I felt like I don't have time for anybody. And I got quite restless and uncomfortable. So maybe somebody else have experienced this, or if it's okay, we can also continue. Okay. Because I understand we would have shared this maybe in the second part now. But we can see. So I want to share the concept of resilient zone, which is like a zone where we can be up and down, like the world goes in waves, radio wave, energy waves, and also we go, like I feel happy, I feel a bit low, I'm okay, in that zone. But then something happens, deployment, an accident, or whatever, worse, a war, and it throws me out of this way. It goes then suddenly hip hop, maybe I get stuck. on high and I end up talking, or I get stuck on low and I feel depressed. So what is it we can do to get out of it? For example, this you don't have to share it, just say, are you really, like, you can feel this? Are you feeling in the resilience zone or out? And then think what brings you back, maybe. It's to be aware of how you feel.
So do you want us to contribute something?
If somebody wants to, I don't want to force anybody because I know it's recorded, yeah.
Yeah. No, I can say, like as of today, as of this moment, I would definitely feel myself in the resilient zone. I feel balanced, or whatever you would call that. Not particularly stressed or depressed in any way. Yeah. But of course, also I think it has to do a little bit with the lifestyle. I think before we started, I mentioned that my employer currently goes through a little bit of a difficult time, and I can see a lot of people who are struggling to stay within that resilient zone. And sometimes I observe myself and think, okay, now why am I not more worried or more angry or whatever? But I think also, a lot of things I think has to do with my life and work style, like setting aside time in the morning, regardless, to read, to meditate, to ponder things, which is something which helps me relax. And of course, at the same time, also to even though I work from home, to have a clear line between work and my private life, so that I can say, okay, now I stop working and take my laptop. It goes into the drawer, and I'm not going to take it out until tomorrow morning, after breakfast, 8 o'clock or whatever my allocated work time is.
Great, fantastic. Good for you. Yeah. It's not always that easy, and also, like, if you have family, it's also challenging on top of that. Exactly. So I want to share with you a few exercises. I'll do it now, and then when we went through the presentation, we can do them some more and then exchange more. Yeah. So I have prepared, for example, this. It's called Feel Like It 3, the 3 exercise. I want to invite you. I see you're in the train, Maya, so you probably can't do this, but the other ones together. So when you're out of this zone, there is a few things we can do to bring us back. And one is this 3 exercise. So we can stand here and feel the legs and think this is the trunk of the tree. And to think I'm actually very, very strong. I feel like a tree standing on good soil. I feel the tree, and then I can lift up my hands and think there are the branches. And expand the branches. And the way up again. And then I go more up and I see all the leaves up there, the birds singing, maybe even the cloud. And I feel my trunk very strong. And it's swaying in the wind, but it's not breaking. It's very strong. I put down my arms again. And go down to the floor and see all the roots I have in this earth. And think of how strong I am standing here. And at the same time, be flexible. And again, I can look at these clouds, and then I can even open up the clouds and see the sky is blue, because above the clouds, the sky is always blue. And then I take out a step. I can do this exercise. It's very nice to do it outside, but we can't do this very well. And it's great to do in groups. It's great to do with kids. It's great to do for yourself. Why is it we do that? So the amygdala is saying, oh, I'm actually here, and where I am, it is safe. So I can start to think again. Because when we're under very big stress or threat, we don't listen, we don't hear, we don't think, or far less. Now I give a little bit in other input on resourcing, which is my favorite one, because I think every person has resources, maybe not financial, but a lot of other ones. So this is external resources. I say here social network. Of course, you were both saying how lonely it can get when we deploy, when we're in a new place. So we can actually try to find out and build social networks. Which is when I went to Pakistan, I didn't know anybody. So that wasn't very easy because you could hardly get out. But you can meet people. So you consciously have to think about establishing social networks. Belonging to a community. You said you're sad because you do not belong to a community. But sometimes, like for example, through the religion, we can belong to a community, or you can look for singing, guitar, whatever community. Or back home, you might belong to a community who want to support you from far away. And a very important community is nature. I'm still a person who believes that we grew out of nature, we evolved from nature. Even so, in the US, there are now forces who believe that the earth is flat. I still think we are part of the nature and we have to connect to there. So if you have possibility to go outside and be in touch in places where it is safe, because we can also be in nature where it's not safe, like in India or in Central America. And then all the beneficial things you can do to yourself, like try to eat well, sleep well. And I still have this phrase that it says, they all said we have to social distance yourself. This was very, very wrong worldwide. We should have said physical distancing, because we have socially to connect to feel better. And some of the effect of this physical distancing or social distancing, we can see now a lot of very high mental health problems in Switzerland, at least. Then the other thing is to move. Do all sports you can, whatever, even in small places. Like I work sometimes with people who are in hiding places or who are in prison. And I tell them you can jump a rope on a very small place. You can move, you can do physical exercises. You can all gentle movement. They don't take up a lot of space. Or for people who love dancing, you can also do dancing competition with your kids or whatever. Just try to move in some ways. And then we have internal resources, which of course would be all religion or spirituality, feeling and thought that give you relaxation, joy, support, strength, whatever makes you feel secure. You can also listen to your own experience, what has happened to you in the past, like Gail just gave an account in the past. She had more problems about this, and now she learned how to deal with this. Or your family history of resilience. This is also a very important issue when you hear how has your family survived. Maybe we as Swiss people don't have so many stories on that, but you go across the border to France, to Germany, to Ukraine, there's a lot of stories of how families have survived. And it's interesting to find out about them and what we can learn from them. We have cultural resources. Listen to music or make music, you sing. Write down what is happening to me in these unusual times. For example, there is a way of writing a diary where you write just down maybe 3 things that happen to you every day, small sentences. What was the best? What was difficult? Just very briefly, but you keep a track of how you feel or how you what is going on. Then also poetry. I've been told you can be a poet just by saying that what you write is poetry. So I've been trying very badly with it, but maybe somebody else. Or then we have art like this picture from Frida Kahlo, whom I think is a very nice way of saying that I care for you, or anybody can read what they want out of it, or I'm suffering like you suffering. And of course, humor is always a bit tricky because every country, every culture has a different way of dealing with humor. So, but if you're good in that, or language or whatever, it helps to feel a little bit better. Of course, self-care. This is paying attention to your own needs and feelings. You know, like a lot of time when we're overstressed, we don't eat regularly, we don't go to bed regularly, we don't listen to our needs. So to listen that I'm actually tired, instead of thinking I need 3 more coffees, is to think, no, I'm actually tired. What I need is sleep. Develop small goals, so you can like maybe say, I go for a walk every morning for half an hour. I'm very lucky. I have a neighbor who takes me out every morning for half an hour early in the morning. So by 8, I'm here working. So that's good. So they say you cannot change stressful events from happening, but you can maybe change the way you look at these events. And in order to feel safe, find out what gives you security. Maybe I repeat the social contact movement, but also observing what is going on around me. Orientation, we will do one of these exercises. And then touching, hugging, all 5 senses, resources that give me confidence. So maybe to do this exercise, instead of externalizing, you can just write it down, what gives you strength, and then we share it after the hour is over, okay? How about that? What are your strengths? What gives you security? Okay. So, I think the exercises we do after the hour, right? So I wanted to share this with you. Maybe you want to see with different eyes the issues, huh? Cat's eyes or with tiger eyes. And we can say sometimes hard experiences are capable of making us appreciating the good things in life, deepening relationship between family members, start new activity that we never done before, focusing on new issues that we were previously insignificant to us, giving ourselves a second chance. Or we can also change our focus. You can choose whether you want to water the flowers or the weed. I think that's understood. Or I don't know if you've seen this picture, you can also be a small cat of thinking of yourself as a big tiger. That helps to confront yourself with difficult situations. I'm just checking the time here, sorry. Okay, or I can invite you when we're going to do some exercises, and it would be good for you to do a SOP. I think you people understand what is a SOP, standard operating procedure for your emotions, either tomorrow or later today. And it's write down physical exercises that are for you the most effective against anxiety or panic. Physical exercises to regulate most important resources. You can put this on a paper or in the computer, and then an address and the phone of your emergency contact. And then you can take a picture of this and have it as a background on your camera. Okay. So, Christopher, I think if you want to need more information, you can have you have my presentation, and you can put on this link. It has much more about what I've been talking about, the autonomous nervous system. I'm sure you'll be interested in seeing it. If we have time, if we want to watch it, we can watch it now, but I think it's too much. So for this presentation, are there any questions before then we go into doing the exercises and exchange a little bit?
Sorry, Elsbeth, will this presentation also be shared with us?
If you like, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, because we skipped some.
Yeah, it's I'm going back now to
because okay.
I wasn't aware that the second part would be more just exercises. That's why. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Yeah.